So, as I have reported before, the government is seizing our money out of our bank, and I'm going to explain that a little bit better. I'm really thankful that we've not prepared, that's not the word I want to use, but have tried to establish our lives where we don't have to rely on the bank. Even if they take our money, it really isn't any big deal. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, you live off grid, you don't need money in a bank, what are you doing? Well, I mean, you know, in a society where I don't know what they think off grid is. I'm not, you know, living on the moon. I still live on the planet. I still like some of the conveniences of life. I just don't hook up to the electric or the water or the sewer. Some people have this fantasy that they're going to live out there in the middle of nowhere, I guess in Alaska, and not have anything while they're on YouTube being connected to the grid, so they're not even trying to be off grid. But yeah, money is still a thing, and when you live off grid, you have to be able to buy things regardless of the fantasy. And I feel like we do pretty good. I think that we could live completely self-sustaining. Well, I know we could live completely self-sustaining. Really, the only thing we have money for is the truck. Put gas in the truck, insurance for the truck. We run the generator, but we don't have to run the generator. I've explained that many times. It's just a convenient thing to do. Our solar panels give us enough electric. We do go grocery shopping, but again, we don't have to go grocery shopping. We can survive and have survived off chicken eggs and off the chickens. And next year we'll even do better because we'll have more egg layers. They're not of age right now. So the only reason we go to the store is so we have a variety of meat, because we're meat eaters. I'm really thankful that we have set our lives up that we just don't have to have money other than the truck. And I could sell the truck. I don't know, what could I sell it for? I mean, we talk about these things. We could sell the truck, but if we're going to go into a situation where they take all my money, then I could exchange it for firewood, or I don't know how much firewood I could get out of the truck. A cord of oak around here is about $300, so assuming the truck's worth $10,000, that's quite a bit of firewood. And I don't need that much firewood. We got everything we need for the rest of our lives. I might be a few cords short. I might replace what we use this year and next year just to have it until I can reach 70 years old. Right now, I think I got enough until I live until 65. But things that we have done, like the firewood, is we can our own food. So you can see in this is hamburger that we canned last year when meat was still cheap. We knew that inflation was going to go up, so we was able to buy some hamburger for like, I don't know, $2 a pound, something. It was real cheap. And we canned it all up. And then we use Tadler lids. That's something that we had to buy, but we don't have to buy those again. There's no way that we will outlive the Tadler lids. What it is it's a two-piece thing. You got the white piece up here at the top, and then you can see the gasket. That's the second piece. And so that replaces the metal lids that you have to buy each time. A lot of people came in my comment section this morning and said, that's not true, you can reuse metal lids. I don't know if I trust the newer lids anymore. They use cheaper materials. The company that makes these jars and lids have sold out to a conglomerate. So I don't know if I would trust them anymore, but Tadler lids do pretty good. The only thing you have to replace occasionally is that seal. Those last 10 years or 10 uses. So there again, self-sustaining. We bought some extra rings just in case we tear one. I've already ripped, well, I ripped one and one was just defective. With our chickens, they are self-sustaining us now. We grow sunflower seeds. People keep asking me what kind of sunflower seeds we get. You can just go to the bird feed section at the Orchlands, pick up sunflower seeds. They're pretty expensive. And then you can plant those. And then Carolyn takes the sunflower seeds and she'll put this under the bed, she waters them, and then they'll start to sprout. Then she can turn a 50-pound bag into 200 pounds of food. So we can give the chickens a handful of this, like that, to each chicken. That provides them with enough protein. And then they can just eat the weeds around here. So now that is self-sustaining. When I first mentioned that we were feeding our chickens sunflower seeds, somebody said, well, you can't grow enough sunflower seeds. But when you do it this way, you can grow enough sunflower seeds on a little 1.5 acres. I mean, we probably don't even use 200 square feet. And then we incubate our own chickens. We incubated, that was our little test run last year. We got 15 out of 21 eggs that we incubated. And then we butchered most of the roosters. I was supposed to butcher roosters again this last week, but I cut my finger. Not bad. but we didn't want my hands in that chicken meat, that raw chicken meat, butchering, just in case you get an infection or anything. Now, yes, I know I could have wore rubber gloves. And again, for those who say, you don't live off grid, that's the thing. What is it that we can do? So if I want to wear rubber gloves, that's fine, but they do tend to rip. The chicken bones can be a little sharp. So anyway, we just let the injuries heal before we do it. That way we don't risk infection. So I was supposed to butcher up the last of the roosters. And I don't know how we got, maybe 3 or 4, not many. And then the rest of the hens, we're gonna let them lay eggs next year. Well, for as long as they lay eggs. And we'll just keep incubating. This last year, we got Brahmas, we bought Brahmas, and they're gonna be our meat birds from now on. They're huge. They're already huge, and we just bought them in May, somewhere around there. They'll start laying eggs this winter, and then I guess towards the end of winter, we'll go ahead and incubate those. That because the Americanas, the ones that we incubated last one, is a little test run. Those chickens are pretty small. The Brahmas can get up to 10 pounds, whereas the Americanas probably only get about 6 pounds. The Buff Orpingtons, maybe 8 pounds a rooster. So all this, to me, the firewood, the canning of the food, is more valuable than, say, gold or cash. Cash is only got value, and a lot of people tell me I don't understand money, but actually I think I understand money better than most people do. The government prints money out of thin air, and then when they do that, they spend it. So that's a hidden tax because that drives up inflation. So they're not actually asking you to bring money to them. They're just saying, okay, you're gonna have to pay more for goods because we just printed a bunch of money so we can buy things. Money itself, paper money, doesn't have value itself because it has to be applied to something. Now, back in the old days, it was applied to the gold standard. You know, a piece of gold, you say this is the value of the gold, this is the value of the cash, and it was connected. And this is gonna sound real simplistic. It's much more complicated than what I'm gonna explain, but my labor has value. And so when I go and work, I want to be compensated for that labor. In order to be compensated, they give me a piece of paper, and I say, okay, I want X number of pieces of paper for that labor. So as money value goes down with inflation, my value for that piece of paper goes up. So it's just, that's how inflation works. As inflation goes up, my labor costs go up. So there is value to that cash, even though a lot of people say, oh no, it's just printed out of thin air. You need to learn something. Your labor has value. Now, the interesting thing is gold has value that never changes. The value of gold only changes because of the value of the paper that we buy it with. The cat came back from her hunting trip. I don't know if you saw her. Oh, I know what it was. She saw the sunflower seeds. I bet she thought she was getting fed. So gold, let's say back in the 1920s, was worth, I don't know, let's just say 50 bucks. I don't know what it was worth, but let's just say 50 bucks. So the paper value of gold was $50. And I could go out and buy raw milk with that little piece of gold. I don't know, a barrel's worth of milk. So one piece of gold, barrel's worth of milk. Today, gold is worth, I don't know, $2,000. Haven't checked it in a long time, I don't know. Let's say it's worth $2,000. So I take that same piece of gold, and I try to buy that barrel of milk today, and it's the same value. Milk prices and that gold value is the same value. It's the money, it's the cash that has changed value over all those years, those 100 years. So food and firewood doesn't change its value. This piece of wood would be the same value to someone and the same amount of labor as it is today. It takes me, let's say, 10 minutes to get this piece of wood right here. Well, in the 1920s, it was still 10 minutes. So the value of that labor hasn't changed. It's just the cash value has changed. With gold, it is hard to trade. Even in an SHTF situation, it would be impossible to trade it. I go up to the guy, hey, I got a piece of gold, can I have some firewood? Well, I don't know. I don't know anybody's gonna take gold. I'd rather have some food. You got some food? I'll give you some firewood for food. And that's how I would be. I probably wouldn't take gold. I want to trade item for item. I got some food, here's some firewood. So I think the food and wood have more value to me than gold. So that's what I'm going to use as my value. Because what's going to happen here shortly, I told you at the beginning of this video, they're seizing our bank accounts. And that's true. Sometime this year, they are going to start changing our cash for digital currency. The government has already approved this. The executive order has already been written. So they're going to start taking our cash away from us and giving us digital currency that the government's going to be in charge of, not your bank. You won't be able to go to the bank and say, yeah, I need to get some cash out so I can pay John down the road to cut my grass. It's not going to work that way. The banks are going to be completely removed from this somehow. So the exchange of money in banks isn't going to be there. The government's going to be in charge of it. And I'm not sure which agency, the IRS or the feds. The feds isn't even really a government agency. So if they're in charge of it, then I'm really confused. But they're going to be able to control what you spend money on. So if I want to buy a tank of gas and they don't want you buying gas, they can say, oh no, no gas. Or you want to buy a piece of property out in the country and they say, no, you can only buy property in the city, or you can only rent an apartment. So they can actually shut you down. And we know this because China is doing something very similar. Now, I'm not trying to compare the United States to China, but China is doing digital currency. And what they're saying is no matter how much money you make each month, you have to spend all your money or they take it away from you. So you make $1,000 and you pay your rent, and you pay your water bill and your electric and all that, and you have 20 bucks left over, and you think, okay, I'm going to put that in the savings. No, you have to spend it or they're going to take it away from you because they want you dependent on them, and they want all the money circulating through the economy. We saw this with the checks they gave out during the pandemic. They wanted you to spend that money to get the economy flowing. So right there is an example of they can control your spending habits. In this case, China's wanting you to spend more. I think in our case, they're going to want us to spend less. So yes, they are going to seize our bank accounts, and I really recommend that you take action on that and start canning food, start raising livestock, start getting your firewood. So if you'll click this up next box, I'd really appreciate it. It's going to take you over to a canning video where I use these Tadler lids. So you can learn how to use them yourself. There's a little bit of a trick to them. So I hope I can inspire you to think about money differently, because this has more value when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.